The story of the Titanic first captivated Robert Stack when he was a boy in 1962. The saga became a part of Stack's life, and through Titanic associations, he later met Melvina Dean, one of two remaining Titanic survivors, at a convention on the Queen Mary in 1991.
I had met her earlier in the 90s and had formed a relationship with her over the years, and at one point I presented to her an idea of doing a lithograph and a biography to go along with it about her life and her tragic experience of her family on the RMS Titanic. After a couple years of working with her, we came up with the idea of a very famous picture of the ship. It was Last Rope Letting Go, and you can see in the photograph here of one of the last lines being tossed loose. And what I've done was Melvina was gracious enough to allow me to borrow family photographs, and I had them all scanned, and then we worked with them on putting it together to represent what I thought was a very haunting and poignant presentation of what happened. The mother, Melvina's mother, you can see her in the corner over here holding baby Melvina. This was shot shortly after the sinking as they were returning actually back to England on the Adriatic. There's a picture that was taken from, shot on the White Star Line, and you can see the mother sitting on a bench, and right next to her is actually even a little White Star teacup, so it really places it in space and time. The little boy you see standing right here is Melvina's brother, and his name is Bertram, and that's a picture of him after they returned back to England. The photograph in the middle actually is of the mother, and you can see Melvina being pulled along in a little goat cart here. They're back in the New Forest, Southampton area, back on the family farm there. This is the mother. This is actually Melvina's mother. It's actually her wedding picture. And this is Bertram, probably the most important person in this whole picture other than Melvina. Bertram played such a part in the saving of the family. They were traveling third class, so they were further down in the ship, and he caught wind of a problem and was very astute, very sharp, very bright, got the family up, got them up through the decks of the ship and got them into a lifeboat, and they were rescued. Tragically, Bertram lost his life that night. He was actually repositioning the family to America, and they were going to start a new business, and obviously the story is that they never made it. The family then returned back to Southampton, where they lived their life out. This photograph here spans nearly 10 years of the story. This is Bertram, the little boy you see here, and this is Melvina now, grown up. They're around 10 years old here. It's about 10 years after the sinking. And I know Melvina had shared with me the story that Bertram, her brother, had actually gotten separated from the mother and Melvina and was actually placed in another lifeboat, and they weren't really reunited till they were back on the Carpathia. And the mother found him at that point. I have really dedicated this whole project to the immigrants who've made it to America, who struggled all those years to come across the North Atlantic. In fact, the little picture in the corner is actually a photograph of my family, my father's family, who immigrated from Europe. And that's the picture of them shortly after they arrived. So I really dedicated it to the survivors, to the immigrants, and the struggles that they had. And along with this, there was a biography booklet that went with it that took the story from this point around 10 years after the sinking up until the late 1990s, where Melvina told her story and then filled in the rest of her life and all of her growth and what she went into, different fields of study and also jobs that she had. Right now, she is, in a couple days, going to be celebrating her 95th birthday, and we were just lucky enough to go back and see her again this past June, on June the 27th of this past summer. She's an avid gardener, and her dear friend, Bruno Nordmanis, who's been with her for decades now as her friend and companion, are still together, and they're just a wonderful couple to spend time with. She now is the youngest survivor of Titanic. There was one other lady who's just a little bit older than her. And of all the approximate 705 passengers who were saved that night, we're now down to Melvina and the other ladies. So it's a great honor to know her and have got to know her the last 15 years or so.